I have a sibling, she's a year younger than me, and to say that she is financially, last I saw her 10 years ago, she's had at least one, I think 2 personal bankruptcies that I know of. She's got zero money. She has less than $10 in the bank account at any one particular time. When you think about that, someone like that, and I have worked my ass off and have been very fortunate and blessed, and I am in the top 1% of the wealthiest people in America right now. And I don't tell that to brag. No. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying, here's the point I want to make. She and I grew up in the exact same household. We went to the same school. We had the same parents. We had the same upbringing. We went through the same hardship. She's 1 year younger than me. How the hell did that happen? So you can't tell me it's because you're a woman or you're a man or you're black or you're yellow or you're this or you're that or it's your education, your parents, your upbringing. You can't tell me all that. Because if that were true, then I wouldn't be where I am today. And if that were true, there would never be anybody who is in the top 1% wealthiest people in the country, in the world. They would all come from good families with 2 parents, have a good education, good upbringing. And I'm telling you guys right now, that ain't the 1%. The good news again is you can't change the pyramid, but you can change your behavior and your actions to put yourself in that top 20%, 4%, or 1%. So when I really look at what makes the difference between why someone either makes it or doesn't make it, it really comes down to a handful of things. And the first thing that's really, really important is people who get into the top 1% have extreme clarity on what they want to achieve. And I'll tell you a funny story. So I was early on when I was starting my business, and I was still under 5 million, I think, and I went to, I joined mastermind groups just like you guys, and I would go and be among my peers and learn from them. And, I remember seeing this guy, his name is Richard Rossi, and Richard had a $20 million a year marketing consulting business, and he was presenting, and I said to the guy next to me, and I cannot remember who it was, I wish I could, because it was such a profound conversation. And that's what happens when you come to events like this. You have these sort of aha moments, these conversations. And I turned to this guy and I said, I would so love to have a $20 million a year business, because I had been trying hard, working hard for years to get, it felt like I had to scrap and scrape to get to 5 million, and it was just, 20 million just seemed like so impossible. And I was so frustrated. I said to the guy next to me, I said, man, I wish I had a $20 million a year business. And he said to me, he turns to me, he says, well, have you set that as a goal? No. It just kind of occurred to me when he was talking, I thought maybe, hey, that would be a good thing, right? He said, well, so you don't have a business plan? You don't have a method of do you have a financial model? Do you have a growth model? Do you have, no, and no, right? So sometimes you have to remember that in order to be in that 1%, if that's where you want to be or wherever you want to be, you have to set an intention. You have to be crystal clear. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of you aren't clear, because you come to me and you say things like, well, I want to grow my business, or I need to get more customers, or I want to double my business, or I just want to make more money. If I could just make more money. Well, how much money specifically? You have to be crystal clear on what you want, because you cannot get it if you're not clear on it. The other thing that is I see universally amongst those who are in the top 1%, or even top 20%, is they have a burning desire. Napoleon Hill talked about it. It's one of the principles of the wealthiest, most successful people. They have a burning desire to achieve their goal. And this is something that's really important. So Winston Churchill once said that the key to success is being able to move from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. And I think what kills a lot of business owners is the boredom. I think what kills them is, Bezos calls it overhead. It's the things that you don't like doing but that are necessary. The things that frustrate you, that annoy you, that are painful for you to do, that you have to do in order to grow the business. And that's why you need a burning desire, because without it, you're going to find a way to get out of it. You're going to stay busy. You're just not going to get it done. You got to have a burning desire. You have to have a belief that you can achieve it. You know, if 20 million, 50 million, whatever it is, if that seems like an impossible number, you're going to take no action, because your beliefs drive your actions, and your actions produce your results, and then your results reinforce your beliefs. And so if you don't believe it, so like, you know, when I get on a plane, I'm of course Boeing now these days, who knows, right? But I'm still flying. I'm confident enough that I'm going to get from Nashville to wherever I'm going, and I'll arrive in one piece. But I also know that they're probably the airport's going to be crowded, and the valet is going to be backed all the way up, and I'm going to have to, rush into the airport, and TSA is going to be, backed up, and the machines are going to be down, and, when I get on the plane, it's going to be super hot, and the guy sitting next to me is going to smell like a goat and have a flatulence problem, clipping his toenails, and oh yeah, they do that in first class too. Like, the guys, stop taking your shoes off. It's gross, okay? Am I the only one, like on airplanes, people take their shoes off? Ugh. It just grosses me out. So they sit next to you. And so I know that's going to happen, and they're going to lose my luggage. So I know I'm going to be inconvenienced the entire way, but I do know that I'm going to get there eventually if I just keep running my routes, as Lance Armstrong said. Okay, so you got to believe you can do it. They have to obtain the skills and tools that you need to succeed. And by skills and tools, I'm not talking about technical skills. Because if you are going to run a business, you need business skills. Just like if you were going to be a pro tennis player, you need to have tennis skills, right? Like when you're running a business, you need to know how to hire people and manage people. You have to understand financials. You have to understand how to read a P&L. You have to understand forecasting and budgeting. And believe me, I'm not saying any of this is fun. But what I'm saying is it's necessary in order to get from wherever you want to be to the top 1%, 4%, 15%, wherever it is that your goal is. If you don't master these skills and you don't have the tools of things like a budget or scorecards or CRM systems, if you don't have those things, you're not going to get there. You need those tools to succeed. And then the fifth thing that you need is you need consistent productive behaviors, habits, and choices, which is what my whole talk is going to be about. Okay? Now, a lot of you, I've talked to you about keeping it real, right? Keeping it real means what the kind of business you want to build, which is rewarding. Come on, quiz, guys. Rewarding, easy, attractive, lucrative business versus a tech business, which is what? Tedious, exhausting, chaotic, and hard, right? Here's what I can tell you about techs with helpers, the ones that operate that way. They always think in time and effort. That's all they think about. They're always overwhelmed. They ask questions like, well, how long is this marketing stuff going to take anyway? How much time what's the minimum I got to put in to get this thing to work? This is the way they talk. They're constantly out of time. They're constantly in chaos. They're constantly lurching from one thing to the next thing because they have no organizational skills. They don't know where their money is. They have to wait until their accountant or CPA or whoever's doing their books gives them their tax return and then says, hey, you made money or you lost money. They hire a bunch of C players, not B or A players, because they're cheap, right? So they hire a bunch of C players. They give them absolutely no kind of scorecard, no leadership, no direction. The only training they give them is the 2-part training, which is good luck and hang in there, right? And then they go hire all these C players, and they're surrounded by them, and they just make a bigger mess for themselves. So if you are going to get from the bottom 80% to the top 20%, these are the things that you're going to need.